بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. قال رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني. O my Lord, open for me my chest and ease my task for me, make loose the knot from my tongue. We praise Allah, we seek His help and His forgiveness. We seek refuge with Allah alone from the evils of our souls and our misdeeds. Whomever Allah guides will never be led astray, and whomever Allah leads astray, no one can guide. I bear witness that there is none worthy of worship but Allah alone, without partners unto Him. And I bear witness that Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, may peace and blessings be upon him, is His slave and messenger. I greet you in the tradition of Islam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And I'd like to welcome you to another installation of the Friday Reminder. My name is Rashid binQuadir, and I'm coming to you from Sacramento, California. And by Allah's mercy, I'm going to talk to you today about intentions. Now, why did I pick this particular subject to talk to you about today? In light of everything going on in the world these days, politically, I really started to look at why is it that we do what we do? Why is it that people do what they do? And then when I started to unwrap that, I really started to think more and more about intentions. So inshallah ta'ala, I'm going to cover that today. And please hang around to the end of the discussion, because inshallah, we're going to also cover some things that we can do to try to have the proper intentions. Inshallah ta'ala. So to start off our wonderful discussion, in the beginning, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam emphasized the importance of intentions in many of his teachings and actions. He once said, actions are judged by intentions, so each man will have what he intended. Thus, he whose migration or hijrah was to Allah and his messenger, his migration is to Allah and his messenger. But he whose migration was for some worldly thing he might gain, or for a wife he might marry, his migration is to that for which he migrated. And this is from Bukhari and Muslim. And what this is a story of an individual who actually went on Hajj. He went and made Hajj, but his intention was to actually meet a young lady, wasn't necessarily to practice the actual pilgrimage in and of itself. So that's when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala broke down to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that you're going to be rewarded for that which you intend, and not necessarily the actions that that particular individual have followed. So there's multiple layers to intentions. The Sahaba, the companions, meaning the companions of the Prophet, radiallahu anhu, and scholars who carry out an action for which they would have many good intentions accompanying it. This is to say, this is so in hopes that they could be rewarded abundantly by single action for every intention that they made. It is due to that Yahya bin Abu Kathir said, learn about intentions because it reaches further than the action. Let me repeat that again. Learn about intentions because it reaches further than the action. In the Book of Intentions by Habib Said Muhammad bin Alaya al-Idris, the writer has listed a number of good intentions for different kinds of actions. He wrote in a way that each action is paired with multiple intentions. For example, if you plan to help people and fulfill their needs, you may have the following intention as well: to obey the command of the Prophet so that Allah Most High may come to your assistance, to follow the Prophet and peace and blessings be upon him, to bring joy and happiness to them, to be humble, so that Allah may allow others to assist you and fulfill your needs. So go ahead and think of as many intentions try to think of as many intentions as possible and pair them with your goals. you will be surprised at what you achieve. So all that said, it's possible to do an action, but have multiple intentions behind that action. And the more intentions that you have, obviously, the more blessings potentially that you're going to get by Allah's mercy, and by Allah's mercy alone. So then another piece of intentions is, should it be verbal, or does it not have to be verbal? Do you actually have to say, okay, Allah, I intend to do this, or I intend to do that, or can you just do it? And there is a slight difference of opinion on it, but the most popular opinion is that you do not always have to verbalize your intention. So Sheikh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah was asked about the intention when starting to do an act of worship, such as praying, etc. Do we need to utter it verbally, such as saying, I intend to pray, I intend to fast? He replied, the intention of purifying oneself by doing wudu, ghusl, or tayammum, or of prayer, fasting, praying, paying zakat, offering expiation, and other acts of worship does not need to be uttered verbally, according to the consensus of the Imams of Islam. Rather, the place of intention is the heart. The place of intention is the heart, according to the consensus among them. If a person utters something by mistake and goes against what is in his heart, then what counts is what he intended to do, not what he said. So the important thing is the action that you perform, not necessarily the intention that you verbalize, although we want to try to do our best to, try to verbalize what we can. But, sometimes we're just going through our day and we may not think to put that intention out there, although our full intention is to do good, is to do well. Our niyyah is to serve man, or to serve your wife, or serve your family, or serve your mom and your parent, and other things. So just rest well that if you do something, you don't put that verbal intention out there, that you're not actually going to lose that blessing, that you're going to lose that opportunity to make that intention, inshallah ta'ala. So the heart. In another hadith, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned, verily in the body is a piece of flesh, which if sound, the entire body is sound. And if corrupt, the entire body is corrupt. Truly, it is the heart. This means that the connection between the heart and your intention is closer than we think. Our limbs and likewise, intentions depend upon the state of our heart. So if we have a pure heart, we have a clean heart, and we have a heart that is right, then the actions that we are going to take in this world are going to be positive. They're going to be good. But if we have a dirty heart, if we had a heart that needs to be scrubbed and a heart that needs to be cleaned, we serve a merciful Lord, so we can always make tawbah and ask for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's forgiveness and ask for a cleaner heart. But just know that if your heart is clean to get from Jump Street, that more than likely you're going to be doing good actions and doing good things. Hence, it is vital that we ensure our hearts are in a healthy state as well, as we set our intentions to avoid pursuing any actions or goals that may harm ourselves and others. One of the ways to keep our hearts directed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is to recite a supplication that was practiced by our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, may peace and blessings be upon him. O Allah, controller of the hearts, direct our heart to your obedience. O Allah, controller of the hearts, direct our hearts to your obedience. And this is the dua that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, may peace and blessings be upon him, used to say, and he used to say often. And I would recommend, simply because of the Prophet did it, that we should try to do it, associate that dua with every single prayer, because Iman goes up and down. The heart goes up and down. One day we could be strong in faith, and the next day maybe not so strong in faith. So to accommodate for that up and down ness within our heart, we just want to reach out to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and ask him, oh, controller of the hearts, please keep our heart firm on this path, and keep our hearts firm on this path. And in conclusion, I want to say that in Islam, the intention or niyyah is of great importance as it is the foundation of one's actions and deeds. Allah knows the true intention of every individual and judges them accordingly. It is believed that Allah is well knowing and all seeing. He knows the secret of the heart and the intentions of every individual. He knows the intentions of every individual. And think about how powerful that is. As many human beings as there are on this planet, Muslim, non-Muslim, Allah knows the intentions of every single human being. Just think of how many people are in Juma today, or even when you're driving down the freeway, and how many cars that you actually see. Allah knows what's in the chest and what's in the heart of every single human being that you're seeing, and even those that you are not seeing, and that includes human beings that are and that are in other lands as well. Islam teaches that intentions play a crucial role in determining the moral value and reward of an action. A good deed performed with pure and sincere intentions is considered more valuable in the sight of Allah than a deed done with a selfish or insincere intention. Similarly, a wrong action committed with an evil intention is considered more sinful than an action done unintentionally or with a good intention. So that goes back to the heart. If our heart is unclean or it's not as pure as we necessarily want it to be, and if we plot and plan a sin, something that's wrong, the simple fact that we plot and plan it that's going to not be good in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we want to try to plan and plot, because surely we plan and plot, other human beings plan and plot, and so does Allah plan and plot. And Allah is clearly the best of planners. And so we want to try to follow his sunnah and the sunnah of our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to the best of our abilities. We want to try to educate ourselves on the things that the Prophet didn't do, that he said, and things that he didn't say. And we want to try to follow that, so that inshallah, once we die, and we're all going to die, that on the day of judgment, when our scale is being weighed, that we weigh heavy on the side of good actions. And in fact, it's been said that those who we have done wrong, they are going to have the ability on the day of judgment to pull deeds from our scale. So we don't want to walk around this planet doing bad and evil towards other individuals, because all of those individuals are going to be able to pull those things from our scale, and therefore decreasing our ability to end up in paradise. And it's by Allah's mercy and Allah's mercy alone that we end up in paradise. And that's why, to fast forward to the political climate of things going on, that's why individuals want to be very careful about oppressing other individuals or dropping bombs on other individuals and hurting other individuals. We want to be very careful and analyze in looking at those things, because sometimes, the things that are ugly can actually look beautiful to you. So even though you take an action that is beautiful to you, but if it's hurting somebody else, if it's killing a group of people or oppressing a group of people, it's going to be what it is. So don't always lean upon our own understanding, but we want to try to educate ourselves and learn about what's good and learn about what's right and learn about this deen. And again, follow the things that we can learn about our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and try to establish ourselves within the community as much as we're humanly possible. And I know sometimes that's easier said than done, because there's not masjids everywhere, and maybe we feel welcome or not welcome in certain Islamic institutions, and that's okay, and that's fine. But try to establish yourself and be around those believing people who remind you of God and remind you of God often, because that's going to do nothing but help you to do good, and do righteous deeds. And of course, we want to dhikr and read the Quran as much as humanly possible, and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for wisdom and knowledge of this particular deen. Now, if I've said anything wrong today, if I've mispronounced anything, it is from my own lack of knowledge, my own ego and my own pride. If I've said anything good, anything a benefit, it is from Allah and from Allah alone, and I give Him full credit and fully acknowledge that. And I ask that we have peace amongst the world, and that we as human beings treat one another fairly, regardless of what religious institution that you're a part of. I hope that we can treat each other kindly and treat each other well. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow the leaders in this world to be just leaders, and to practice fairness amongst all of the communities, again, regardless of their religious beliefs or institutions that they're following, that we all treat each other kindly and treat each other well. سبحانك وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفر وأتوب إليك. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.